Aloha. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Tanya. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, we're the Paradise Patriots.
And we're here on this beautiful day in Hawaii. It is a beautiful day today.
It's
the
a
weather's been
gorgeous day.
fantastic this week.
But we are busy on our computers looking up stuff.
Yes, unfortunately.
What are we going to talk about?
The little demons never sleep, do they?
Should we rant on the rail?
Rant on the rail. Why would we rant on the rail since we live on the Big Island? This is from Big Island Video News, and this was a statement by our mayor, Harry Kim, and he talked about what would happen when, with the current arrangement that the legislature has come up with to cover the ever-rising costs of rail, and how that now is going to spill over onto the outer island, onto the neighbor island communities.
Because they had increased the GET tax on Oahu.
Right.
But to cover some of that money that they needed to make up.
Right. And it's not enough now.
And it's not enough. So what's their plan?
So now the plan is to move from the GET tax to the TAT tax, to increasing the hotel tax. So the proposal
TAT is transient
accommodations tax.
Okay.
So they want to increase it by 2.75%, and that will bring TAT from its current 9.25 to 12% for 10 years. I just have to say, we know what happens with those things after 10 years.
They stay.
It'll stay, right? It's not going to go away. Just
away.
like the GE tax probably won't ever come back down. But anyway, how that's going to impact us, we'll figure this out, of all of the tax money that will come, those revenues that will come out of our hotel tax that we need for our island.
So they want to impose this TAT tax on here.
On all islands, not only here.
Islands, not just on Oahu.
Right.
And then that money is going to be collected here and go back to Oahu.
Right, to pay for the shortfall of the rail. And our
because we can catch the rail in Hilo. You can catch it here in Waimea.
Right, because it was my idea to build the rail. So,
right.
Or it was our idea. We got to vote on that too, didn't we?
I'll just take the helle on there.
Right.
Oh
Anyway,
my gosh.
so the overflow of that tax, which amounts to around 1.9 million, that overflow will go to Oahu to pay for the rail.
Oh my gosh.
Right, our policemen haven't had new equipment in how long? We have to start thinking about what's going to happen with the Trump administration in terms of how, when they cut the lunch menus, when they cut Meals on Wheels. Those are all things that we have to think about covering now.
Right.
We should be planning for that. But no, let's just pour more money into a failed project that's been going on for probably over 7 years now, and there's just no end to it.
Oh, it's well, let's talk about how long that's been around.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So in 2008, there was the project was estimated to be completed in 2017.
Right.
Brings us right to today. And it was estimated at a cost of $3.7 billion. The estimates change depending on where you go, but history's changed.
It could be magic.
In 2015, the project went up to a record $6.5 billion.
Almost double, right?
And then this year, the amount went up to an estimated $9.5 billion.
Triple.
Of which a billion of that, excuse me. A billion is such a crazy idea for me. $1 billion in finance charges alone. $1 billion.
So the interest, even if the interest is 2%, on $1 billion rounds out to around 20 million in interest.
Which is
20 million in
sick.
interest.
Sick. So Mayor Kirk Caldwell, who has been in and out of office during this whole thing, right? And he's back in, thanks to the 147,000 people who voted for him last year, to get him back in. He received $916,000 from rail contractors and subcontractors between 2012 and 2014 for his re-election campaign as mayor last year. 916,000. And the city council members of Honolulu received 346,000
from contractors and subcontractors to the rail.
Yeah, and so for some of these guys, it's anywhere from 40 to 72% of all of their political campaign donations.
Right.
So this is an article that was in Civil Beat back in September 2015. So just so I can cite the source. So that's just totally disgusting. I mean, so when you follow the money, you could see why they're still talking about this is like the project that won't die. Talk about Baba Yaga picking up her head and walking around. Like,
The zombie project. It's the zombie project.
cut off the head, picks up the head, and keeps
Walks
moving.
around with that. I need rail. I need rail.
Exactly. Gotta get to the airport.
Where's the rail?
Oh my goodness.
Right. Well, you know what? And speaking of following the money, how about reversing that and go? How about the people in charge that didn't follow the money? It just was flying all around, flying away, going all over, and nobody knows where it was. There's no accountability. So this was an article from KHON, and Gina Mangieri, always investigating. That's her investigative news personality. So she asked Hart, how much more tolerance do you think...
Wait, Hart is the Honolulu Authority for
Rapid Transit. Right.
Rapid Transit.
So she asked, how much more tolerance do you think either the lawmakers or taxpayers are going to have for the $1 billion at a time changes? Right? So we've gone from 3
Good question, Gina.
to 6 to 9 with $1 billion.
Good question, Gina. Did you get a good answer?
Yeah. Here's their answer. So this is Terrence Lee, who is the vice chairman now. I wasn't happy about it when I learned about it. And that's why I wanted to get to the bottom of it. When there is a material assumption that could dramatically change the total budget, the board needs to be aware of that. And I also want to point out, this is one of my concerns with Hart. They're understaffed and overworked.
Oh, poor babies.
And so the ability to get critical work out of them in a timely manner is being jeopardized. Until we can fix the personnel and staff issues and stop the revolving door we have, I think we're going to continue to have challenges in getting timely information. They also said Hart is running 20 to 25 different scenarios, all assuming extension of a 0.5% excise tax surcharge. So that's an assumption, and they really should not assume that.
Okay.
But with varying state versus city portions and varying durations. Now let's just let that sink in. Varying state versus city portions and varying durations.
I don't like that state part.
Yeah, so that means the whole state is going to
We didn't vote for the rail.
all going to carry it, and is it varying durations? Is it going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? The $9.5 billion cost, including financing, is just one of the outcomes, assuming the city keeps getting a 90% cut of the GE tax surcharge for an extra 10 years past 2027. Now that's a lot of abracadabra. It's that. It's
Perfect.
bullshit. Yes.
DEFCON 5 on the bullshit level, yep.
So always investigators ask, why weren't voters made aware of this, or board members, or general public? Because it takes a while to flesh out and evaluate the numbers. This is important, Hart has $6.8 billion it can count on, but needs $8.2 billion plus any debt financing to cover the flow. And that's just to get to Ala Moana.
Never mind that they weren't even planning to go to the university.
That, I can't even believe that.
Doesn't even make sense.
Were they really considering serving the...
We want you to get shopping, but don't worry about going to school.
Right. Oh my God. And just the amount of traffic that goes to the university on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, so there's a $2.8 billion funding cap, including financing. Yeah. And when demanding an explanation of how the financing inclusive price got to $9.5 billion instead of 8.6, this is how it was explained. The $8.6 billion scenario assumed that we would only have financing until 2027 to coincide with the GE tax sunset. And listen to this. And at that point, and this is, I'm quoting, some way, some form, some fashion, the debt would be paid off. And so Always investigating, asked, paid off by whom? And what was Lee's response? Don't know. They don't know.
Oh my God. Can these people not, they don't know how to plan?
For billions of dollars of debt.
Why do we always think that these people in office are so smart and that they know so much more than us? They don't have a plan?
What happens to a city that goes billions of dollars? What happens to a city that has $1 billion in debt with a $20 million, and that's only if that is at 2%.
Well, if they keep building, it's going to sink into the sea. That's what's going to happen to that city.
Or there's going to be foreclosed. They're foreclosing on.
How do you foreclose on an island?
What you foreclose on the assets.
I think we should foreclose on our assets in office.
The asses in office.
Asses in office. This is insane.
Don't know, Lee said. That was the direction that was given to the staff to make that assumption. So to recap, Lee is saying Hart simply stopped counting debt costs when the GE tax extension ran out, assuming somehow it would all get paid off. But the new model counts on a GE tax extension at the same terms for another decade beyond 2027 sunset.
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the interesting thing. The state did an audit of this rail financial plan last year, and was reported in August of last year that the rail financial plans were not reliable.
Because why?
Because
we don't know.
So
I don't know.
It doesn't really, but then this year, in May, this month actually, as we know, as many of us know, Jill Tokuda lost her powerful seat as chair of the Ways and Means Committee, probably because she couldn't get this thing to happen. And we have these guys on the news, Senate President Ron Cucci and Kalani English, apologizing that they couldn't get this rail funded and pushed through.
Well,
so what do we want to do with Kirk Caldwell on that? Do we want to give him an award?
Well, and not only because of that, but I also want to say, in the midst of all of this, he managed to give himself a raise.
He did?
He did. He managed...
Oh my God, the F-bombs! I'm trying to withhold holding it in so that we can actually promote this video. What?
He gave himself a 5% pay raise for the mayor and all the top officials. Wait, and that was, well, maybe he got the 5% pay raise because of the golden parachute he gave to the guy that was forced to resign when he couldn't get the rail done. When it went from 6.5 billion to 8.6 billion, they got rid of Mr. G. I can't pronounce his name.
Grabowskis.
And he got a what did he get? A $286
severance package,
$1,000 golden parachute package for the miserable failure.
I could likely live off that for the rest of my
life. Right.
Here on the Big Island.
Because of that stellar performance, the mayor got a 5% increase.
My goodness.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's a definite move.
Maybe he got the 5% increase for using the handy van service and the bus money.
As collateral
for the rail. He took the handy van away from wheelchair bound people and the bus service.
In case we can't pay it off, we don't need this. We don't need these services.
And let it be held hostage so he could get the rail project through. I
just have to say that Hart, the Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transit, has no heart. They have no heart. Who are these people?
All right, now we know. Go for it.
Kirk Caldwell. And you know what? We need to give a Babooze Ohana Award to everybody who's backing this bullshit up.
Yeah, the rail. And I'll just say, I am not paying for that
monstrosity.
Fucking mess.
That monstrosity that's being built over there. Wow. Well, I hope this has helped you guys understand a little bit of what's happening with rail. Did you have something else to say?
I can understand why the guy's crying in the legislature, because
Because he's going to lose his seat, too.
Not only lose the seat, they could drive the city of Honolulu into bankruptcy. If you have $1 billion debt that you can't service, and you have a project that you have contracts out to, you have to still pay the contracts, whether that project gets done or not.
True.
And all of that interest is going to compounding interest on $1 billion. They better get their shit together.
Yeah, they better figure this crap out.
Yeah, if they've floated bonds on all of that, they can bankrupt this.
They don't even have to help take these guys out of office. They're doing it all good. Well and good.
You know what? When and Mr. freaking Babooze, when you used collateral from,
you got her started now.
Well, when you used collateral from that was done with deception.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And when he got caught, he owned up to it, and there was no consequence. He wasn't held accountable, and that's why this kind of stuff is allowed to go on to the point where you could possibly bankrupt a community because they weren't accountable when they got
an entire
caught.
State.
Yeah, well, that's why the state will be forced to bail them out. That's how this happens. It's not unlike what happened. I mean, the circumstances in Greece were different, but that once Greece became bankrupt, the assets of that country were confiscated by bankers. And it can happen.
It can happen.
It can happen when you have this kind of just complete. I don't know if it's idiocy.
I can't tell if it's
or
corruption,
if it's corruption,
or if it's idiocy,
just
but
stupid.
It's probably a good combination of both.
Yeah, and they should be scared because now they're in trouble. This is $1 billion debt.
$1 billion debt
That you have to finance and find a way out of, and you have a project you can't complete because you don't have the money, but you still have to pay for it.
That so many people didn't want in the first place.
No, yeah, like we really needed it. So,
well, I hope this has been helpful in you understanding.
Kirk Caldwell, watch your mail. Yeah. It's coming your way.
Yeah, thanks for that lovely rail project.
Yeah.
Thanks for railing the rail.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'm Tanya.
And I'm Anna.
And we're the Paradise Patriots.
Aloha.